Hello and welcome back to KSP Career. Yes, today the mission will be to go do a moon flyby. Whether or not it will be crewed or not, I think not. However, we have some testing contracts. Test the radial mount drogue chute and the mount parachute. And here I would like to take an occasion to especially thank one of my commenters, the ACC Original, for pointing out that while I have accelerated the building in the episodes, I've also accelerated the music, so it sounded a little bit lopsided. I hope I have resolved it, and let me know what you think in the comments. However, a big thanks for that, and your comments, guys, keep me making me want to be better at everything, so thank you so much, I really appreciate them. Okay, continuing, we have exchanged the parachutes for the ones that are supposed to be tested, and given that most of my orbital flights failed to deploy at the correct altitude, this will be a small dinky suborbital test flight vehicle. Yes, it will be truly Kerbal, so check it out. Anyway, I am thinking that for the second craft that we will be going to the moon, I will prefer that we shall be using this moon flyby vehicle, which was basically an upgrade of our original science satellite that we did in the previous episode. I will just increase the amount of solar panel so that we have 4 of them. I'm gonna move this small communitron because I need a bigger antenna to be able to talk back to Kerbin. And for that I'm gonna be using the HG5 high gain antenna, and with the remote tech that I'm playing with, I hope this will be a directional antenna. I will also remove the atmospheric barometer because there is no atmospheric pressure on Moon. There is no atmosphere on Moon. So let's put in the small fuel tank on together the Pug fuel engine. So this will be our Moon transfer stage, and then we have the orbital ascent stage powered by our Tundra exploration. So we need 3 fins because that just puts us enough on the part count so that we can actually do it. And this would be the vehicle that will be doing the Mooner flyby. I have not tested it, but I thought about it and I tested it a little bit off the camera. Seemed to be doing pretty well, so I'm hoping that it will be doing just fine. After fixing the staging, we will add it to the build list. So right now we're doing the test rig and we will be taking the moon flyby craft. Perfect. There we go. Let's kick into high gear the production process because nobody wants to wait too long for a launch. However, we have advanced rocketry that is being researched, and shortly after that we will be doing the launch. However, let's just quickly check what exactly does advanced rocketry give us. Alright, it gives us the vacuum engine for the Marlin, some bigger fuel tanks, some adapters, thumper booster, Terrier engine, which will be highly useful. So I guess, useful components. Okay, hitting the warp to get the test rig sub 1 launched, and we will need to take a new Kerbal. However, I'm thinking I'm not gonna take Dorothy Bryant. I would much rather take Alex Kerman, who is one of my supporters, long-term channel supporters. I really like having you on board, and Alex, this is your chance to earn your wings. So, make me proud. We are showing it slightly time accelerated because this is not, you know, the prime time launch, so to say, capacity, or I don't know how to call it, but we're ready. Oh, we have all parameters. Hit the testing for the drogue chutes. Drogue chutes work, let's cut them. And we need to test the radial mount parachutes. Sorry that you're diving face down, but that's what happens when you're testing. Thank you. Yes, Alex is one of our first brave test pilots. Look at him go, screaming head towards the ground. Yeah. Alright, so the test rig, I'm gonna be starting some experiments. I don't know, a crew report we can do. There we go, we quickly dumped that ascent stage, and our beautiful command pod is coming down ever so gently to hit the ground. So, yes, like I said, a bit accelerated, however, I think it's actually good to provide an overview. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Would you rather have this launch full but accelerated, or would you just like the highlights for the, let's say, the launches that are not the main focus of the episode? Also, I have left it running because I've noticed that the crew report, it took some time to produce. So, after recovery, we have gotten some science, and also I think we have gotten some parts. So science recover 1.3 credits, not bad. Then we have gotten 4,000 funds from recovered parts, and Alex Kerbin has gotten some reputation, including some cool ribbons. Landing on Kerbin, G-Force 4, and significant contract ribbon. Okay, this G-Force 4, is it issued by NVIDIA? Not sure. Anyway, with this thing done, let's go and start exploring the moon contract, because our other vehicle that we have stored is built just for that. And a quick check, do we have any more science contracts that we could be taking on? Oh, advanced piloting. That will be maybe when we will be building planes. That would be fun. Kerbal in the atmosphere, I don't know. I think for the time being, I don't want to test all these engines and everything else, but it's a good way to earn money, so we'll see. Alright, so now it's time to warp to the science satellite launch. Because that's the one that we're here for. We are here to see a satellite being sent to the moon. I'm a little bit worried because I have not yet done the, remote tech satellite, communication satellite constellation. However, we need some science to unlock the parts that we need to. So, without further ado, let's launch this baby. Look at it go. Beautiful. I really like how sleek it looks. Looks kind of realistic. I mean, I don't know, in this series I'm gonna try to go with a little bit more realistic looking rockets wherever I can. However, if the need arises for something completely wacky, crazy and over the top, I guess I'm gonna do that as well. Alright, so without further ado, let's go up and then we shall be doing the... Look at it screaming past us as it ascends into the heavens. Beautiful. So, alright, our apoapsis is going over 30, and as you can see, I'm toning down the throttle constantly to keep the thrust weight between 1.8 and 2.2-ish, because that gives us the best economy for the fuel, I guess, and also we don't fight the air resistance too much, so we're not trying to spend too much fuel fighting the atmospheric, fighting the air, so to say, and the drag and everything. Also, I'm leaning down, so as you can see, my ascent trajectory is somewhat steep, and when our apoapsis hits roughly 100 kilometers, then I'm gonna shut off the engine and I'm gonna be... Ooh, beautiful. Some screenshot worthy material. I like during when I'm playing the episode, I try to record a couple of screenshots because you never know which one will be the best, so might as well put a couple into the bag and hope for the best. So right now we have the apoapsis of 102 kilometers, so we're gonna just gently coast to it, and then we will be deploying the fairings and everything else. While we're doing that, we might as well set up a maneuver node for our circularization burn. And we are already in space, as you can tell by the music cue. That's always nice. I always like that part of the Kerbal Space Program. It's really amazing. Right, so let's just align to make sure that we will be facing the maneuver prograde. And it will be 1,144 meters per second. Deploying the fairing. Beautiful. Okay, now when we're playing with remote tech, this is a directional antenna, meaning that you have to set a target. And I'm gonna set it for Kerbin because it has quite broad angle and which it covers. Obviously, if I'm going now, it won't do anything from this distance. From this distance, most notable will be our small communitron. However, when we go further apart, then we'll have much better signal coverage. Okay, so I'm not going to run experiments yet because I'm not having an experiment container unit here, so I'm going to run them when we come into the moon's sphere of influence. However, we're closing in on our maneuver node. Oh, look at that moon in the background. I'm going to take a quick snapshot of it, and yes. So on T-19-ish, we'll be starting the burn for the circularization. And we will be circularizing. We'll start on this stage, but we will be finishing on the next one. Look at that beautiful plume behind it. I really like how, you know, the atmospheric effects, so that when you get higher up, the plume gets wider. It's really, I think it's done by either real plume or waterfall. Please guys correct me in the comments. I have both of them actually installed. And here we go. Ditching the Falcon rocket, which will eventually come re-enter into the Kerbin's atmosphere and probably crash somewhere into the ocean. Yes, we're not reusable yet. There we go. Beautiful. 104 by 101. I'm pretty happy with that orbit. And now it's time to do the transfer to Moon, which means correcting the inclination. And look at this. As you can tell, the small angle now shows that we are covering one part of the area of Kerbin. However, that's not good enough. Let's set the Moon target for our rendezvous, and let's go to the ascent node and correct our inclination, which at this point is 2.3 degrees, which is quite significant. And after some fiddling, ascent node is set to 0.0. However, for the execution of this maneuver, I don't expect that I will be on the dark side of Kerbin, so I won't have control. So I'm gonna use the remote tech flight computer to be able to execute this burn. So what we need is we need to queue up and make sure that the probe points maneuver prograde. And let's just quickly check, because I have solar panel, as I have to be very careful that we don't orient the craft so that the solar panels are in shadow. Okay, it seems like the solar panels are still being charged. I just wanted to double check that. Alright, and that means we can actually hit to execute the planned maneuver, which will happen in 12 minutes and 42 seconds. Look how the remote tech signal nicely bounces off that satellite. So that means once we build our remote tech satellite network, it will work perfectly. And look, we went out of coverage because of the range. Yes, we didn't take the Communitron 16, which would have helped a little bit though. We will be much more careful when we will be doing the constellation, and then the satellites will work to a much greater effect. However, just now the flight computer will be enough. We sent it commands and we've queued it, and that's really one thing that I really love about remote tech. You queue the commands and then the craft executes them even if you're not in the coverage. This can create to so many potentially great scenarios. I cannot begin to tell you how great it is. Right, next step. Set up a maneuver node to intercept the Moon. Okay, so this gives us almost a free return, so I'm actually almost inclined to take it. Regardless of the fact how it looks on the Moon periapsis, I might tweak it a little bit and then we'll see how it goes. There we go. So we have the Moon periapsis and we are ready to queue up another burn. However, right now we do not have control over the craft. So we have to wait until we come to the coverage, but the node will be coming on the next orbit, so we will be passing by the Kerbal Space Center, where we will have a communication connection. There we go. We have the communication connection over the bouncing satellite, so we should better queue up the burn rather quickly. Maneuver prograde, followed by execute the burn while we still have the control. Good. And this, while that we have control, is indicated by the yellow marker on the top saying local control. I think that's because of the Kerbalism, so it doesn't... Remote tech clashes with Kerbalism to a degree, and I think that I could even control the craft when I don't have the connection. However, honestly, I'm trying to play, you know, kosher. And we will be executing the planned maneuver in roughly 2 minutes, so with a little bit of time acceleration, we are getting ready for our burn. There we go, some lighting at least, so we have now a beautiful view of our craft accelerating towards the Moon. A tiny pug engine, and look at the moonrise behind the Kerbin. Oh, this is amazing. If it wasn't too dark, I would have used it for the screenshot for the episode, because it's really telling. Looks amazing, doesn't it? It's worth just shutting up commentary for a brief moment to enjoy the view. And and there we go. Burn is all done, wonderful. So, and we have, I see, connection error when it comes to status. Yes, that means that we really don't have the control over the craft right now, but that will all get better as soon as we get out of the Kerbin sphere of influence. And as the sun rises and illuminates our little satellite, or, well, technically it's a probe, the battery level is increasing, so that's good, which means we can start leaving the Kerbin behind and go slowly towards the moon. Look at it, go screaming towards the moon. Bye-bye, Kerbin. It's been a pleasure, and it will be a while. I don't know if we will return, but we will be sending you some science from the surface of the moon. Simply amazing. And I really do like the visual enhancements that we're using. Really gives Kerbin a nice shine and glow and everything, so yeah. Also, it's time to enable our experiments to make sure, because we are now getting into the moon's sphere of influence, so might as well kick along all the science experiments that we have waiting. Look, the problem is that the sun is directly ahead of us, so we really get to see the moon very well. However, you will get a chance to see it as we will be screaming past it. Yes. As you can see, we have the local control mainly. Oh, and look. Telemetry report being sent. Okay, stage destroyed, so it did crash into Kerbin. World first milestones. Huzzah! We have been... There is no such thing as Final Frontier. I disagree. I have the Final Frontier and it's a mod and I love it. Alright, so let's a little bit accelerate as we are approaching the moon. I'm just keeping an eye on my battery level so that it doesn't get depleted. Radiation scan, moon space global, beautiful. So we are sending some science experiments which have been very important that we get a hold of them. As you can see, we will be performing the flyby. And I have set the periapsis to roughly 10 kilometers, so I think it will be very nice. This looks fantastic. Kerbin in the background and moon slowly popping up while the science experiments of Mystery Goo, telemetry report, temperature scan and radiation scan have been conducted, which we will all, of course, return to the boys in the lab who will be analyzing this and figuring out future missions on how to get to the moon and beyond. Look at this. I think this is almost... Yeah, so many screenshots for the episode, right? Simply amazing. We will be screaming past the moon. We are now... I think we have passed the periapsis and we are slowly ascend. As you can see, the moon is gradually becoming smaller and smaller, which means we are pulling away from the moon. And then we shall be exiting. I have no idea where the trajectory will take us. Oh, let's take another screenshot for the episode. I don't know exactly which one will be, but as you will be able to tell, we have no shortage of beautiful views here. So I'm thinking for the next step further would be either to get a man or woman or Kerbal or Kerbulette on the moon, and I'm not thinking landing, I'm just thinking, you know, performing an orbit and doing some experiments in the orbit, EVA crew report and whatnot. Or we could be doing maybe the remote tech satellite network, so I still have to check which one will be coming first. However, that will be really cool to do probably in the next episode. However, for that to happen we need to unlock some research, and we'll do that as soon as this little probe exits the moon's sphere of influence. Look at that. After which we will be for sure putting that science to good use and unlocking. I basically need, I think, tri-couplers or something to be able to deploy, because I don't like deploying, you know, satellites in multiple launches. I prefer doing single launch and then just deploying them and whatnot. Alright, so with the moon directly in front of us, we are slowly pulling away from the moon and onwards into the deep space. Bye bye moon, it has really indeed been a pleasure. Right, so as we exit the moon, I think we will be going into the interplanetary space, which means the science for me would be lost. Oh, we have control. Perfect. Set up a maneuver node and try to get this small probe back closer to Kerbin, where we can actually submit all that wonderful science that we have just measured and experiments that we did. So let's see if we can manage to get some more, so to say, bang for our buck. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Our flight computer performing admirably to make sure that we do return some science to Kerbin. However, we will not be landing on Kerbin, but this satellite will become sort of a relay in the higher orbit around Kerbin until we have a more substantial satellites for the remote tech. Yes. Alright, so now we're getting back to Kerbin, and all we need to do is to perform another maneuver node, which will be on the periapsis to permanently lower and circularize its orbit to the point where, yeah, it just sits around there, so it can be used for whatnot. Alright, so now let's take a view and see as we approach Kerbin. Bye moon! And as we are approaching Kerbin, the temperature scan has been transmitted, telemetry report has been transmitted. So all the wonderful science experiments which we originally had, and I don't know how it's being transmitted because the antenna is pointing away from Kerbin. Yeah, telemetry report transmitted, so all the wonderful science experiments, our data is being transmitted back to Kerbin, so we will have something to unlock the new nodes. And as we are coming into our periapsis, so this probe will be set at this altitude, we are preparing for the burn that will put us in our final orbit, so that we can once again use this satellite, if for nothing else than for a relay and the reminder of our successful trip and flyby to the moon. Beautiful. Alright, but that basically brings us to the end of this wonderful episode. Guys, do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you prefer the fully accelerated, you know, but a whole flight, or do you prefer like the second part of this video that are more like cuts and highlights? I will of course be monitoring our content, but until then, thank you very much for watching. I've been GrunfWorks, and I'll see you in the next one.